I am playing a game called Smile, but nobody taught me the rules. I wish I could tell you how my friends and I were sucked into the excruciating pain and darkness that this game was. I wish I could tell you that we were tricked by a higher power and were now living through a curse, not able to free ourselves. But that wouldn't be entirely true. We wanted this. We wanted to join the sickness because it promised us a reward we couldn't say no to. I made the conscious decision that I would be a damn part of this, and now I can't stop. And neither can my friends. Not until it's over. When you start the game, when you are a part of it, there is no going back. And not knowing the rules could cost you your life. So if you ever get sucked into a game called Smile, maybe my advice could save you a limb or two. But be aware, I'm still figuring things out myself. Let me tell you about Smile. This all started when my friend Haley got kicked out of med school. Becoming a doctor had been her dream ever since she was a kid, and having that taken away from her hands must have been heartbreaking. Ultimately, it also opened up her schedule for the upcoming madness. Haley and Lucas were my best friends, and while we did have a past full of peculiar occurrences that led us to mistrust each other on one occasion or the other, we had become closer than I'd ever been to anyone, including my family. And so of course the three of us were there together to help Haley numb the pain of a future lost. I had invited them to my apartment, a small but cozy place I scored on the ground floor of a flat building. We were sitting in front of the TV watching silly cartoons when I read the email. Smile. It wasn't the first time I had gotten the weird mail saying nothing but the word smile. It had been happening for the last few days, but thinking this was nothing but spam, I ignored them. The email address was just a combination of numbers. The typical scam kind. 5,252,181,131 smile. Com Milto 5,252,181,131 smile. Com. The emails were easy to ignore, but suddenly I was receiving the same words as a text message. Smile. 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 Dude, your phone is blowing up, Lucas said. When did you become so popular? It's just spam. I held the phone in his face, showing the last 10 texts all with the same message. Why don't you click it? Haley chimed in. Yes, Haley, very smart idea. Why don't I open this obscure link that will surely not give me a virus? She rolled her eyes. Well, how about calling that number then? It's not anonymous, Lucas said. I thought about it for a moment, and I would lie if I said I wasn't curious. Besides, whoever was behind this had somehow gotten hold of both my number and my mail address. I figured maybe I'd recognize their voice. The phone rang 5 times and I thought about hanging up, but then I finally heard them speak. Smile. An old voice whispered. Smile. Alex. They added in a louder tone. I looked at my friend staring at me with big eyes. How did this person know my old name? I had changed it to Finn a while ago. Who the duck are you? I shouted. I certainly didn't recognize this person, but the rusty voice sent shivers down my spine. The response was a laugh followed by a short melody. Dun dun do do dun. No way, I whispered. Welcome to the game, Alex. And don't forget to smile, they said before hanging up. I tried calling again, but the number had been disconnected. For days my friends and I tried to figure out more about this strange experience, but there was nothing we could find, having only the word smile as information. But as it turned out, we didn't need to look for it. They were already on their way to us. The three of us were sitting at a diner eating lunch when the strange man dressed in a purple jester suit walked inside. The second I heard him hum the melody, the hairs on my arm stood up. The man was wearing a mask on top of his normal face. A mask with a massive smile reaching from one ear to the other. There were a couple more people inside the diner, but nobody else seemed to pay attention to him. The jester made his way towards our table and dropped off a small purple package. Hey, who are you? Lucas quickly got up from his chair. The jester raised his shoulders, then took a bow before quickly disappearing outside. The package had a card attached to it with the word smile, as well as a message on the back. The most lovely hello to you, our friends and game pieces. We cordially invite you to join us on this wonderful adventure. There are many rewards to be won, much fun to be had, and many souls to be mushed. The three of you have been chosen as team with. How brilliant. In this package, you will find everything you need for the adventure. You will be looking for jesters, imposters, and even a princess. Thrilling, isn't it? May the game begin. Adventurers. We exchanged a quick look before tearing up the package. Inside we found a phone, a knife, and 3 masks that looked the same as the mask of the jester. What the actual duck? Haley muttered. Guys, check this out. Lucas had opened the phone from the package. Inside there was an app called Contestants that had personal descriptions as well as pictures of what we assumed were other teams. Some people were smiling towards the camera. Others were wearing masks with a fake smile. Round 1, take a photo of your team. Reward $100. The notification suddenly popped up, and just a second later we were looking at our own faces filmed by the front camera of the phone. Guys, smile, Haley said, and while it felt extremely unsettling, I followed her command. Lucas, however, didn't change his serious expression one bit. Beautiful. Well, 2 out of 3, but we'll get that fixed. Round 1 starts in a few hours. We didn't believe it at first, but Haley and I had both received the money. Of course, it was even stranger that they had our bank details. Everything about this game was deeply violating, but we had been sucked in. Not only did we need to find out more about what was going on, but parts of us were also excited about it. We hadn't been on an adventure for a long time, and at least this one paid well. Haley and Lucas decided to stay with me for the time being. We wanted to be together when we received the next assignment, and most of all we wanted to find out as much as we could about this game. Wasn't it strange that nobody paid attention to that weirdo in the diner? Haley asked back at home. Lucas was in the bathroom taking a shower. Yeah, it's almost as if they knew what was going on. Like they purposely didn't look. I responded. She nodded. We should go through the photos. Maybe we'll recognize someone, she said, and opened the app. We swiped through dozens of photos. There was nobody in there I recognized in the slightest. Haley kept looking through the phone while I researched some more on my laptop. Lucas has been gone pretty long. Do you think he fell asleep in there? I laughed. Finn. They uploaded our photo. Haley's hand was shaking as she handed over the phone. There were the two of us smiling awkwardly towards the camera, but that wasn't the horrifying part. Lucas was sitting next to us wearing the mask. Do you remember him putting on the mask for the photo? She asked. No. He definitely didn't. Maybe they added it onto the photo. Yeah, but do you see that? She pointed towards the corner of the mask. It looked like there was blood dripping from it. The head was chopped into the rest, but it was Lucas' face underneath. The lighting was much darker though. Lucas. I shouted towards the bathroom, but he didn't answer. Your friend broke a rule and had to pay. Finally, he opened the door. His eyes looked empty and red. In his hand, he held the knife from the package. On the corner of his mouth were deep cuts on each side. I had to do it, he whispered. They know everything. My past. My family. My home. Shit, man. We need to get you a doctor. Lucas shook his head. I have a feeling we'd be breaking a rule. I can't break another one. How do you know you broke one? Haley asked as she got a towel for Lucas' bloody mouth. They sent me my punishment. He wouldn't show us exactly what the text said and stayed quiet for most of the evening. But I knew my friend wouldn't mutilate himself like that for no reason. He had a reason. Just like the rest of us. This game had sucked us in and there was no going back now. Round 2. Find the jester. Reward $100 for a photo. $1.000 for an ear. $100.000 for his life. An ear. His life. Do they want us to kill him? Haley shrieked. I mean, taking a photo should be enough. Right. Sounds like we can choose. How are we even supposed to find him? Lucas asked. He looked really messed up with those cuts in his mouth, but somehow he seemed even more sure that he wanted to continue. Not that we actually had a choice at that point. Guys, do you see that? Haley pointed her finger towards my living room window. There was someone standing right outside of it. I recognized the tips of his jester hat first. Then my eyes went to the creepy smile. He just stood there looking at us with his head slightly tilted, and then he started waving. Before we could process what was going on, let alone take a photo, he grabbed something out his pocket, threw it against the glass, and ran off. As the initial shock settled, we got up and ran towards the window, but he had already disappeared into the darkness of the night. There was a stain on the glass from whatever he had thrown. Haley opened the window and started climbing out. Living on the ground floor felt both handy and horrifying at that moment. This creep had gotten dangerously close, and worst of all, they knew where I lived. I sighed and followed Haley outside. Duck. Why didn't we take a damn picture? Lucas asked. Check this out though. He left us a map, I said. It was lying there on the ground behind the window, with a little ribbon around it. That's not what he threw against the glass though, Haley said as she pointed the torch of her phone towards something slimy between the grass. A bloody cut off ear. That's where we stood, sucked into the smile game, not knowing at all what our next steps were supposed to be. Did the jester give us his ear so we wouldn't take his life? Or was this a trick to make us break a rule? If you hear about a game called Smile, don't play it. Run as fast as you can. But I guess if you heard about it, it's already too late. Just remember this one thing. For now, don't forget to smile. The first round of the game left my friend with a nasty scar. The second round had given us an ear that was cut right off someone's head. And the worst part was that the round wasn't even over yet. Smile was not a game with no rules. The rules were strict and the punishment was hard. We simply had to figure out how to play it. The ear that we found lying on the ground next to my window was now safely placed inside a lunchbox that we put in the freezer. What else were we supposed to do with it? We hadn't slept at all, but we weren't sure either what to do next, and so we were still sitting in my apartment planning our next steps. The map that was left for us was just a regular map of this town. No matter how much we looked, we couldn't find any clues on it. It was early morning by now, and the shimmer of sunlight coming in through the window gave me a feeling of hope. At least until I saw the bloodstain that the jester left on the glass last night. We have the damn ear. Let's just send them a picture and be done with it. Lucas mumbled. Maybe you shouldn't talk that much, Lucas. You'll get terrible scars. He rolled his eyes and popped in another painkiller. This was the third pill already. Hey Haley, Why don't you tell us why you knew that we had to smile in the photo? He responded. Our eyes went to Haley, who started fidgeting with her necklace. Why don't you show us the text they sent you? Lucas, we're a team after all, aren't we? Haley got up. Her avoidant expression turned sinister. Lucas stayed silent. Both of my friends seemed to have something to hide. It was bad enough that we couldn't trust the game we were so deep into. Questioning each other was only making matters worse. Before they decided to put me on blast next, I brought the topic back to the challenge. We still had a jester to catch. Okay guys, calm down. Yeah, let's just figure out this damn game. They both nodded and Haley got up to say something. I looked through the other contestants on that app. I didn't recognize anyone, but what I noticed is how most are rather young. Teenagers. College students, though there are also a few people who look significantly older. Of course there are also the ones wearing masks. So underneath the mask they probably look like me right now. Nicely cut up, Lucas said as he moved his fingers to draw a smile in the air. I tried thinking back to yesterday when we were sitting inside the diner. The other people must have been accomplices of the game. Maybe they were contestants like us and sitting in the diner was a task they received, or possibly they were actors or game masters. Either way, it made no sense how they didn't respond at all to a man dressed in a purple jester costume singing and dancing through the diner. Not exactly something you witness every day. How far had this sick game spread already? Hey, check this out. Haley interrupted my thoughts. There is a list, ranking the teams. I took the phone from her hands. We weren't quite at the bottom, but not high up either with our 100 points. There were even teams with points and negative numbers. 100 points. So I guess that's our $200 minus the 100 of Lucas. Did you check if they took any money off your bank account? He shook his head. Nope, nothing gone. Guess they counted my cuts as payment. Don't even want to know what they did to the bottom players. Yeah, I whispered. Check this out though. The team that is on number 1 has 50k points. So that means they've probably been playing longer than us. Right, Lucas said. Yeah, or they've done worse things. Haley chimed in. So you think the jester might be dead already? One might be. We don't know how many there are, she said with a dark expression in her eyes. Lucas kept scrolling through the phone of the game when suddenly something appeared to be changing. The numbers. They are getting lower. I jumped up to take a look and he was right. More and more teams were suddenly in the negatives. There was constant movement. Nobody seemed to be gaining points, however. I grabbed the phone off Lucas' hand to take a further look. One team had just fallen from 1k point to negative 99.000. What? How the hell did they just lose 100.000 points? I asked. What happened next was even weirder. The group photo of the group changed to a new one. It had a gray filter on top and the people had deep cuts in the corner of their mouths, but opposed to the one of Lucas, theirs was turned upside down to a frown. Did they lose? Haley carefully asked. Hell knows what this means, I responded. But whatever happens, we're not getting to that point. A few minutes passed and more teams lost points. None as many as Team S though. Dun dun do do dun. The noise was loud and shrill. I almost dropped the phone out of surprise. Lucas grabbed it from my hands and started grinding his teeth. I could feel the anger inside of him. You have been patient. Congrats. Round 2 will officially begin in 1347 hours. We weren't supposed to start yet. Duck. That's why the others were lynched. Lucas shouted and jumped up from his seat. Do you think so? I asked. Why else would they only give us the info now? Shit. Imagine what would have happened if we sent a photo of the year. They probably would have ripped ours off too. That damn jester tried to trick us. Haley added. We still weren't sure what exactly our next steps were supposed to be. But if this was really true, then maybe we had almost passed the next task. All we needed to do was wait for 12 hours and then send them the year. As we didn't have any information on what else we could be doing, we decided to rest for now. None of us had slept at all and Lucas was still in pain. It didn't take much for Lucas to fall asleep. Haley and I tried researching some more until I couldn't keep my eyes open either. I was passed out for what felt like forever. When I finally got up, the other two were in the kitchen making dinner and chatting. It was nice hearing them be normal with each other again. We sat down to eat and try to distract ourselves, but in reality all we thought about was that timer. When it finally reached the last seconds, the three of us were curiously staring at the screen. The camera app opened. It was the back camera, but it had some strange filter on top. Are we supposed to take another photo? Lucas asked. I shrugged. They haven't mentioned anything like that. All we had was an ear and a map. Had we finished the assignment without doing anything? Wait, I got an idea, Haley said as she opened the map we found yesterday. She held the phone above it and on the screen. We started seeing signs. There were crosses that appeared on 4 different parts of the map, 3 of them at random places around town, but one of them was far too familiar. It was my street. The cross marked my home. Round 2 has officially begun. Go catch a jester. Or parts of him. It's just showing my current location probably. Right. I nervously laughed. Must be. The other 3 places are all public places around town. I don't think so. I think they're all seeing it. Lucas interrupted her and pointed his finger to the window. Duck me. Not again. The first thing I saw was the creepy smile of the mask. The person wearing it had pressed their face right on the window and was scratching the glass with their nail. Behind him stood two more masked strangers. The wrong smile burned its image into my eyes and brain. The one in the front kept moving his head from left to right and he was humming something in low tones. "Finn, did you lock the window when we got back inside yesterday?" Haley whispered. I think so." The strangers put their palms against the glass and started pushing. I swear I thought I had locked the window last night, but it gave into their pushes and opened wide. Haley quickly grabbed the knife from the table, but the masked people didn't seem to care. They didn't even move. They just stood there and kept looking at us. They stayed right where they were, but we could clearly hear the tune. They were humming. Dun dun do do dun. Lucas ran to the freezer, grabbed the box, and before any of us could act, he threw it right over their heads. The smiling faces turned around, grabbed the ear, and ran off. I jumped towards the window and locked it. The three of us were breathing heavily, and for a moment none of us said a word. I had brought us in some massive danger. Why the hell did I not lock that window? Finally, Haley broke the silence. "We had the ear. We could have sent the photo. We were too slow," she whispered. "At least we got rid of them. There might be others coming, though. We should go to those other locations now and find our own jester," I said, trying to sound as confident as I could. "There are exactly 3 locations left, all in completely different parts of town. I think the best we can do now is split up to maximize our chances," Haley said. I thought about it for a moment. It seemed risky to split up, but all places were very public and we had no idea if there was a time limit. "Yeah, okay guys, but stay safe. No risk taking." "Yeah, take a photo if you spot a jester and that's it," I said. Both agreed. The marks were near the town hall, a mall, and a bowling center. Haley took the car and drove to the bowling center, which was a 45-minute drive away. Lucas and I both went to the subway, where we each grabbed a different line. Haley had the game phone. We agreed that the 2 morbid alternatives were no option. All we'd do would be to take a photo and send it to Haley right away so she could upload it in the game. Sitting in the subway, I couldn't do much but wait and finally breathe. It would take me about 30 minutes to the town hall. "Smile," I heard a voice behind me. It was a guy, about my age I guess, with short brown hair. I had noticed him looking at me from the other seat before, but I hadn't noticed that he had gotten up. Now he was standing right next to me. "Sorry, didn't mean to freak you. I saw your photo in the game app," he whispered the last part as he took a seat in front of me. "So you're playing the game?" I whispered. He seemed normal, not crazy like the people in front of my window earlier. "Yeah, long story. I figure you're on your way to the town hall too." "Ooh, are you playing alone?" He shook his head. "My friends went to different places. I have no idea if this is breaking any rules, but we're freaking the hell out. This game is so confusing and horrible," and he sighed. "I don't know, maybe we can help each other." I tried to smile. "Sure. Dunno if I'll be of much help though." "Yeah, me neither." He laughed. "I'm Killian, by the way." "Finn." Killian moved closer and started whispering. "Do you think there are more players in here?" I looked around the wagon. There was an older lady, 2 men in the back, and some kids a few seats behind us. Nobody I recognize. When we arrived at the station of the town hall, we were the only ones leaving the subway. The station was eerily empty and quiet. "Alright, let's go to the town hall, I guess. I doubt he'll be inside, but maybe on the place in front," or Killian grabbed my arm and pointed to the platform on the other side. I didn't expect to see him at the station, but there was the jester. Possibly the same one I saw yesterday, but I couldn't be sure of that. He was on the very end, and in between us were the tracks. If we wanted to catch him, we had to run up all the stairs, get to the other side, and then run to the end of the platform. But we didn't need to. All we needed was a photo. I got my phone, but before I could take a picture, I noticed someone behind the jester. It was Lucas. Black hair, gray shirt, denim jacket. It certainly looked like Lucas, but there was no way he could have made it here before me. He took the subway to the mall. I squinted my eyes to get a better look at his face, and I could swear I spotted the smile cuts next to his mouth. "Lucas," I shouted. He looked at me, waved, and without hesitation he grabbed the jester and pushed him right on the tracks. Killian turned around and started running up the stairs. I followed him as fast as I could. There was no sight of Lucas anywhere. We got to the other side, ran down to the platform where the jester was. I thought Killian was about to take another photo, but instead he kneeled down, grabbed my hand. He shouted towards the jester. I jumped down next to him and helped pull up the man. With all our strength we got him back on the platform just before the subway made it to the station. The jester got up, pushed both of us to the ground with unbelievable strength, and ran inside the subway. I tried getting my phone, but neither I nor Killian was quick enough to shoot a photo before he disappeared. That's when I heard my phone buzz. "Haley, we got it. We won the round." My friends could be more than mysterious at times. I knew exactly that they had reasons for playing this game that they wouldn't tell me about. That there were things they knew and wouldn't share with me. None of this was a coincidence. The game hadn't found us. We had found it. And every single one of us was in it to win. No matter what it took. Still, seeing the measures that my friend would have taken to win this game left a bitter taste in my mouth. I didn't like to admit it, but seeing my friend like that had woken up a deep fear inside of me. Not only because I started to see how far he was ready to go for this game, but because I had never seen him happier than at the moment when he almost sent a man to death. The fear, however, was accompanied by a much stronger emotion. Anger. I was furious. Lucas could ruin everything for us with his impulsive behavior. There were so many questions running through my mind. Starting with, how on earth we had won this round. There was a chance that Lucas thought he had cost the jester his life, but how would he have proved it? The man was alive and well because of Killian's quick decision making. He had saved him. I was the one who simply followed. All while wondering if we were even making the right choice. Killian, on the other hand, didn't even bat an eye before running to save the one who was torturing us. Could I trust this new player, or was he wearing a mask like everyone else playing the game? Killian and I got inside the next subway that arrived and made our way back to the side of town we came from earlier. I needed to talk to Haley about what had just happened, and Killian was nervous as their team hadn't completed the round yet. That was your friend, right? Killian asked as we sat down in the empty subway. We had been quiet for the past minutes, just collecting our breaths and thoughts. I nodded. That's wild. Even from the distance I recognized him right away. His face hasn't changed a bit. He continued. His face? I asked. He's wearing a mask in the photo. How would Killian even know what his face looked like? Killian's face turned red as if he had just said something he wasn't supposed to. I mean, it looks a bit distorted maybe. I don't know. Is he dangerous? Now I had no idea how to answer this question. Was my friend dangerous? No. Lucas is a decent guy. I have no idea why he just did that. I responded. Lucas. I thought his name was. Killian was interrupted by the speaker announcing the next stop. Oh shit. I need to get off. Can I give you my number though? I feel like we could help each other with this game. Sure, I said. And we exchanged numbers. Killian got up to leave, but before stepping out he turned around once more. I'm sure we'll meet again soon. I'm rooting for you, Alex. He winked at me and left the subway. I had no idea how Killian knew my real name. Or how he knew Lucas. I had no idea about anything that had just happened, but for now my focus was on getting to my apartment and talking to Haley. When I got inside, however, she wasn't there yet. But Lucas was, standing outside my front door. Yo, we did it, he said and raised his fist in the air. The sight of my friend filled me with an unspeakable rage. Before I knew it, I was pushing him against the wall. What the duck? Man, what is wrong with you? I shouted. Lucas stared at me with a confused look on his face. We agreed we would only take a photo. What kind of psychopath are you? I continued. Lucas pushed me away with unexpected strength. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? You're the one attempting murder. For some shitty game. Was it worth the win? Lucas, I hissed. Suddenly I felt an arm pulling me away. Whoa, what's going on? Haley asked. No idea. Finn jumped me for no ducking reason. No reason. He pushed the jester on the train tracks. He tried to kill him without showing any remorse. And then he had the audacity to smile. I felt my chest moving up and down. What train track? Dude, I was at the mall. I didn't even see the jester, Lucas said. Then how did we win the round? I asked. I saw him, Haley chimed in. At the bowling center. She got the game phone out of her pocket and showed us the notification. Congrats team with. You earned 100 points. Try to aim for more next time. He was just jumping around. From one lane to the other in the center. The place was packed with other players wearing masks and some without. Everyone taking photos. They all seemed awfully normal though. Haley said. Good job, Haley. The mall was packed with players too, but I didn't spot any jesters. Lucas chimed in. You were not at the ducking mall. Lucas, what kind of shit are you trying to pull off? I almost shouted. Finn, calm down, Haley whispered. Whatever happened at that station, we made it. Can we go inside now please? I was still furious, but Haley was right. We made the round. Our point score went up and we each received a third of the money. They counted it as a team effort. For now we were safe, but I would have to keep a close look at Lucas. The next hours of the evening I kept to myself mostly. I took a shower, got changed, and wrote down my thoughts. Lucas and Haley excitedly talked about their experiences. The way they described both locations, it sounded like a normal game. Lots of young people gathering around to catch something. Just like they when Pokemon Go came out a few years ago. All while I almost saw a man die. Killian, we made it. My buddy caught a pic at the mall. He said it was crazy. People were trying to rip out the poor guy's ear till security came. You guys alright? I walked up to Haley and Lucas in the living room to show them the text. I met another guy at the station today playing the game. He was the only other one there actually. I said. Lucas, you said there was no jester at the mall, right? This again. Seriously. Finn. I left the mall after Haley texted. Maybe that dude showed up afterward. Why do you have this guy's number? Finn. Haley asked. He asked for it. So we could help each other. Don't worry. I'm being careful. Now Lucas seemed angered. You don't trust me, but you trust some stranger. Ever thought that you just ran into some trap? Why were there no other people at the station? Haley's location and mine were both packed. Now that he mentioned that, it did really not make much sense. I mean, sure, we weren't in the town hall but the station underneath. Still, most people would have taken the subway there. You can't get to the center in a car. And we saw absolutely no one but the jester. Do you know what team he was on? I shook my head. No. But I could probably recognize him in the photo if he's not wearing a mask. I scrolled through a bunch of pictures. More teams had gained points. There was also one more whose photo turned gray with bloody frowns. That's him. I handed the phone back to my friends. It was Killian and one other guy. Finn. Their team is the second highest ranking one. Haley exclaimed. Wait a second. I think I know these guys. They went to Martin High. Lucas said as he grabbed the phone. Yeah, I've definitely seen them. One of them worked at the coffee house in the center. You know which one I mean. Martin. That was the town right next to the one where Lucas and I were born. The place that had ruined both of our lives. The place that we had left behind us months ago to start over. We are basically on the opposite side of the country. This can't be a coincidence. Haley quietly said. He knew my real name. And he said that he knew you too. I said towards Lucas. Dun dun do do dun. God, I hate this sound. Haley said before she read out the notification we had just received from the game phone. Round 3, figure out if you really know your friends. Lucas and I exchanged a look. This game knew exactly what was going on and it was infuriating me. I was sick of being their game piece. I suggest we don't do anything before they send another notification. If they haven't changed the rules since round 2, Haley said. Yeah, to be fair, there isn't much we can do with this info right now anyway. We had no idea what to do with this information or with the fact that Killian knew who we were. Haley suggested we text him, but Lucas and I agreed to stay put for now. We decided to take turns staying awake so that one person would be awake when we received the next clue or assignment. It was 2 a.m. and I was the only one awake. Could I trust my friends? I was wary of Lucas, but the more I thought about it, the weirder I felt around Haley as well. She did know that we had to smile for the photo. She was the one who easily caught the jester, and I could still swear that I had locked the window last night, but Haley stayed awake after Lucas, and I went to bed. My phone buzzed. At first I thought it was the game phone, but that one only made the shrill sound. I had just gotten a text from Smile, the number that had called me on the first day. Lovely Alex. Do you know your friends? Come to redacted location alone and you might figure out who is fake and who is not. Alone. They had sent this to me privately. It was clear what I had to do next. I made sure my friends were fast asleep before grabbing the knife, my mask, and getting inside my car. I didn't like going there on my own, but I had started to understand that this game took their punishment very literally, and I wouldn't like to find out what that looked like for this round. Besides, I didn't know what kind of messages Lucas and Haley might be receiving from the game. I had to watch out for everything and everyone. The address led me to the tallest bridge in town, the one on that reached over the deep river with a steady stream. I didn't know what to expect me at this place, but about 20 feet away I saw 2 figures standing at the railing. As I moved closer I received a new message. Fake friends need to be punished. Alex, save your friend and push the other to their death. Make the right choice and your team receives $100,000. I felt the knot in my stomach tie. I had a terrible feeling that I would be looking into the eyes of Haley and Lucas. A push from this height could cost someone their life. I wouldn't be able to do this to either of my friends. I thought I would try my luck to get some more information, and so I texted back the number. What happens if I don't push either? I texted back. We consider you a fake friend too. Alex, you can spare your friend and choose to dive. For a moment I thought about turning around and running, forgetting all this ever happened and escape somewhere they would never find me. But I knew that wouldn't be possible. They would just come for my family instead. And so I took a deep breath and walked towards the 2 figures in the dark. As I got closer I realized I had been half right. It was Lucas, but Haley wasn't here. The other person was Killian. They were both standing on the other side of the railing with masks on, so I could see the face of neither. Killian's legs were shaking, but Lucas almost seemed calm. Lucas? I quietly asked. He didn't answer. Killian? I said next, but he didn't answer either, but I could see his panicked eyes underneath the mask. Of course I didn't know this boy well, but could I really push him just to save myself and my friend? Even if I did kill him I still wouldn't know for sure if that would win us the round. I kept thinking and thinking while Killian was shaking even more. Soon, he would slip. Even without a push. How could I know for sure that Killian was the fake friend? I had only just met him and Lucas had been acting particularly shady and dangerous. He was the one who lied and almost killed the jester. And suddenly something clicked in my head. I collected all my strength and pushed Lucas over the edge.